Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Zaggertastic stream. It is I, your friend, the one, the only Z, a single Zaggard, and I hope you're all having a wonderful morning, noon, night, evening, whatever time it is for you today. And welcome back to the Dragon's Den and another beautiful, fabulous Fainting Fridays here. It is good to see you all. Oh, I just burped it. I know I'm late, but I was late for a good reason. I was preparing for Fantasy Fridays, our weekly-ish Friday session where me and you guys, the chat, come together and combine all 5 of our beautiful brain cells and make a Dungeons and Dragons world together. Currently, we are still in the middle of working on a, what do you call it? One town or city. I'm gonna turn this way down. That way it's like just chill background. You're late? Haha, Yuki. You know I'm late. You know I'm super late. It's like it's 5:15. I was gonna start at 3, but I had a reason. I had reasons. Okay. Reason number 1. I was working on something for Fantasy Fridays. So that should give me some, you know, some leeway. Reason number 2. I had to play with my kitty cats. They needed some exercise and they were begging to be played with. So I played with them for about 10 minutes, just running a feather around. I know that doesn't take long, but it's the setup and put away that takes forever because my cat, as soon as we got him this, we got all our cats, but only 2 of them like to play. And one of them is a boy and he's way more aggressive than the rest. But anyways, we got them these toys that kind of look like fishing rods, right? And then it has a wire string, and on the end of it you can put like a little tail thing or a feather, whatever, with a bell attached to it. And as soon as you pull it out, he's like, "But where is it? Where is it?" He like starts getting it. I'm like, give me a minute, because I don't want him like jumping up on everything, so I have to hold it like this way above my head so he doesn't get to it. And then we can go to an area where he plays, and he gets so into it. He like runs around. He can jump 4 feet in the air. I swear it's like 3 or 4 feet. It's really high. Like it's like really freaking high. He can just like jump up. And then when he catches it in his mouth, he starts pulling at it like we're playing tug of war. But he gets like real aggressive. And if you pull back too much, he will start growling. So I try not to do that because I don't want to hurt him. And B, I don't want the wire to break because he's already broken it twice. And then also I don't like to flip it up too much because he has like kind of flipped into like chairs and stuff. He hasn't hurt himself yet, but I'm afraid he will. So I have to be very careful and I have to play a very certain way. So it's kind of like the playtime itself is like 5 to 10 minutes, but the setup is like 20 to 30. And then the thing is, he gets so addicted to it that when I want to put it away, he will stand there and he'll still try to attack it. So I have to lock him in another room, go into the room where we put the toys away, recollapse it. And the thing is, to collapse it is really hard because he pulls on it so much it gets kind of stuck. So I have to recollapse it and put it away. Then I can let him out of the room. And then I also have to play with my other cat because she wants to play. And only one of them can really run it at a time because he gets so aggressive. I have to lock him in a room, play with her in the kitchen, then put it away. She's a lot better about it. She won't like go at it when I'm putting it away. She's like, okay, playtime's over. Got it. She will be a little sad. She'll go, meh, but she understands. Goblin does not understand. Goblin's like, it's time, it's fucking time, let's go. Maybe one of these days I'll do it on Strem with my handy dandy rectangle, because we have shown that you can Strem with the rectangle. Yeah, he is a strong cat. Like, it's not a metal wire, it's a plastic wire. When I show it to you, you'll understand, like, oh, that is breakable. But it is still the fact that he broke it within the first 2 times he used it was insane. Have you had Goblin neutered? Yeah, he's neutered. He was neutered a long time ago. Like at least 5 months ago. Longer? No, definitely longer. Maybe like 10 months ago. He is neutered. He's not an aggressive cat normally. He's actually a very chill cat. It's only when it's food or playtime that he gets real aggressive. Anytime else, he's chill. He is like such a sweet cat too. Even when he's upset at you, he will almost never use his claws. He will like, when he does, you know how normally when cats do a high five, like pretend like you're petting a cat and they're like, no, stop that, right? They'll go like this and they'll kind of like claw, either on purpose or by accident, he will like keep his claws in, and he'll just like paw you with like his paws, just like kind of just like, can you not, just like pushing, like, can you not, sort of thing. Wow, neutered and still active? That's rare. It's actually not that rare. When cats get neutered or spaded, they still actually want to be active. What happens a lot of the time is the first month or so, they're very chill because their hormones they're getting used to their hormones. And then owners get confused and think, oh, I guess he just doesn't want to play anymore. That's not true. Most cats still want to play afterwards. They still want to like chase a thing around, a laser light or whatever. But most owners just don't end up doing that with them. So what happens is the cat gets very sedentary. Every other time he's charging his energy, true. So yeah, that's generally what happens is, and if you have a cat, by the way, that's like real aggressive, like any level of aggressive, they'll probably want to play. That's probably why they're so aggressive, is because they're not getting that energy out in other more controlled environments. Real quick, chat, can you let me know if you can hear the music? I just want to double check on that. Hi, Ian. How you doing? And Alpha, I didn't say hi to you. You said hello, but I read your message, so I hope you knew I knew that you were here. I'm gonna do a little testy westy. Actually, I don't know if this works. It won't show up. I can't do the test. I think we're live on YouTube, but we'll see if it comes in. Binks loved the laser pen I had. She'd charge all over my bed and up the walls trying to catch it. If that cat is still alive, here's some news that I should tell you, and I needed to learn this too, and this is important news. So don't think that I'm like, oh, I just know this. And if you use a laser pointer with your cat, make sure you transition afterwards to a physical toy, because the thing about the laser pointers, they love to chase it, yes. But why do they chase it? Because their hunting instincts want to grab onto something. I just messed up my back. But their hunting instincts want to grab onto something. So if you make it so they can't grab onto something, what you're doing to them is you're turning on their hunting instincts. You're giving them all that aggression, and they're not fully utilizing it. It would be like if you said you were really hungry, right? And I made you a meal, and then I give you the entree, and I have it all set out, and you're about to smell it. You're smelling it. You're right out to dig in, and I pull it away from you, and you're like, okay, that's all you get. You would be furious. And that's what happens to a lot of cats. They don't get mad, but their instincts are still like, I gotta catch a thing. I haven't caught it yet. So you have to transition to a physical toy a lot of times for cats after you use a laser pointer. And then it helps them get that aggression out. And then they're like, okay, I got it. I got the thing. I finally got it. Am I okay? Music is a little low. That's good. If so long as you can hear it, it's good. I want it to be low for two reasons. One, I don't want it to overpower me. Not that I think it will. Cough! I have something in the back of my throat. I don't know what it is. Anyways, you are in fact, thank you, Yuki. Thank you. I am in fact live on YouTube. Thank you for always checking for that for me when I ask. I'm always a little nervous, and I have to set it to where I can't see my own chat messages when it goes live because of YouTube's multi-streaming rules, the whole thing. But anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, just make sure that they have a physical toy. Don't die, Z. Am I okay? I'm okay. Good. You're like the frog emotes. You know what the claw, right? The thing you do with your hand. This? A claw. Wait, what I'm confused what you mean. I know the claw. Oh, God. Ian is frog. Is everybody an animal in this chat? Well, anyways, since it is Fantasy Friday, thought we should start doing it. I'm just checking to see if looks like the live stream on YouTube is like slightly behind. Oh, that's odd. I wonder why that is. So yeah, we got Fantasy Friday. We got a little. This is the YouTube thumbnail, by the way. The image you're seeing. I This is the best thumbnail I could come up with when on the spot. I used to wrestle with her after the claw. Okay, well in that case you probably did. You probably did what she needed. Because then she got the physical playtime in. I still feel a cough. Okay. What a wonderful stream to be in. Just being going. Where is this? It is image. No, there it is. All right, so we still have our world. We're still not done with this shitty chat. We gotta move it. We gotta move on to a new city someday, or town, or village, or story, or whatever. But there's still some questions in my head that we need to answer. So for those of you who do not know how this goes, I did this off stream. I added some more questions I want us to answer, but I changed the title of the place to blue. I'm saying we're locking that in 100%. So blue we never change. Green means we've answered it. These are questions we have answered, or answers to questions that I don't feel need like an extension. For instance, a city where dragon likes go to hide from the Empire. We already kind of named that. That is something we have confirmed, and this is a key to tell you what dragon likes are. Orange are questions that we've answered. But there's either more we need to answer, continue to answer, or or they're like we haven't decided and locked in the answer. Like this question: why is the automaton taking people? It sees them as intruders or biomass energy. We haven't confirmed that we're going with this. We haven't locked it in, but I think we probably will this stream. I'm gonna try and finish. I want to finish all the questions here, and most of these questions. Maybe these three we might not get to. Depends on how long it goes. I will be taking breaks when my throat starts to get tired, so we can continue. Much to answer, always stuff to answer. Yes, you must answer to the gods. Hopefully you're not getting sick. No, I'm definitely not getting sick. It's literally, I can feel a thing in the back of my throat. It's like some phlegm. I get phlegm all the time. I'm definitely not getting sick. I would know. It's like I can physically feel a thing when I take a breath that like gets irritated. Is like a piece of something here. Let me try to spit it up into like a napkin. Okay, there we go. I'll have some airborne. This guy sticks stuff in his throat. Yeah, it's called food, Yuki. I put food down my throat. Maybe I'll have some airborne in a bit, just to make sure. What if it's taking them to designated safe areas? Interesting idea. I'll put that in the maybe. Taking them to designated safe areas. So this kind of like this idea and this idea are now opposites. Anyways, just to finish answering, because I went on a tangent because ADHD brain. Anything in red is a question that we have that I want to answer, or I feel we need to answer, that we do not have an answer for. So green is questions we've answered and continuations of such. Orange is questions we've answered, but I'm not sure if we want to lock that in. Red is questions we have not answered. And then blue is the title. I just wanted to put the title separate to make it easier to find back and forth. Oh, I forgot to turn on the bot on the chat. It should be fine. I should be able to see it okay. Yes. What is the question of the day? What is your favorite Dungeons and Dragons class? I want to go with Dungeons and Dragons because that's the one I know. I know the classes pretty well. I don't know every subclass, and I don't know most of the stuff from Tasha's and beyond, because I did not like Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I felt that was too. It added too much to the players that made them OP, or changed up the the style of the game that I like. And it was just part of the power scaling problem that 5th edition has had for a long time. It's one of the reasons why I call BS on Wizards of the Coast when they're like, one D&D is going to be fully compatible with D&D with 5th edition. And it's like, no, it's not. Yes, most of the game rules probably will be, but I guarantee you all the stuff that they're adding in, if you took the original 3 books, the Player's Handbook, the DM's Guide, and the Monster Manual, and you made a character from that, and then you took a character from 1D&D, the character in 1D&D is going to be like here at level 1. It's going to be like here at level 1. And the base one is going to be like down here. I can guarantee it. And I know that because every added book that they've had for D&D has made the character, like the player characters have slowly started just going up and 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 up with each book. And 1D&D didn't drop it down. It kept going up. And so it's not really compatible. It's like, yes, it works. But that's like saying, that's like saying a later Pokemon from the future Pokemon games is compatible with the older Pokemon perfectly. It's like, not exactly. Like, yeah, it's still the same formula, but it doesn't connect, mesh perfectly well. But that's a whole other problem with Wizards of the Coast is honestly not great at game designing. Like, it's fine. It's not the worst. But it has a lot of issues, and every major DM out there is like, yeah, 5th edition has issues. You can fix a lot of those. You can fix those issues yourself, or just find a better system. Probably Artificer. You like the Artificer? Artificer's a pretty interesting class. I feel like the problem with Artificers is nobody really understands how to use them in the correct setting. And what I mean by that is not that there's a specific setting for them, but people misunderstand how to use them in the base fantasy setting, because they see Artificer and they think mad scientist who creates guns. And I don't like that in my D&D settings. I don't like guns in my D&D settings. Not that they didn't have guns in that time period. I just don't like it. It's not my fantasy in my head. But Artificers don't have to create guns. They could create like a stick that like a wooden stick that magically blasts energy. How is that any different than a wand? It's not. It's the problem is people think gun, see gun. Think blasting stick, think boomstick, see gun. Instead of think boomstick, see magic wand. Right. Favorite class? Rogue. I don't know a lot about D&D classes I've always wanted to play. My favorite thing is classes RPing as other classes, like a barbarian that thinks they're a wizard, casting axe to the face. I find that entertaining on a viewer level, but as a player or a DM, I would hate that, honestly. I feel like that's too goofy. Because your character would have to be really, really stupid to think that axe is a spell, to legitimately think that. And if your character is that dumb, I'm going to make it so that way they don't understand how money works. They can't read or write. And no one's going to like that. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but as a 10-year-old, you know that a knife is not a spell. You know that. Like, that is a genuine thing that a normal 10-year-old human child would immediately know. Knives are not magic. They are tools. So if you have the logic of a 10-year-old, which is when you would know how to read, write, and a lot of other stuff, and understand money, you would know that it's not a spell. That's just me. If you love that, though, more power to you. Warrior, I was a Knight of Elestray. So a fighter? Well, if you were a Knight of Elestray, that sounds like a paladin. Warrior is not a class in D&D. There's fighter, paladin, and barbarian. Those are like the 3 that I can think of. Rogues are pretty fun. I'm actually playing in a rogue in my new campaign I started. I'm playing a tabaxi rogue who has full black fur. His name is Quick Paws. QP for short. I just want to make money. He has a pretty interesting successor. Then I was a paladin, I guess. Yeah, it sounds like you were a paladin. Were you what game system were you playing? Were you playing Pathfinder 2nd edition? I didn't mean an artificer. I meant like a lecture kind of class where you learn how to Artifice. That is not a class, but I get you're joking. Sounds kind of like Mashal. Yeah, everybody talks about Mashal, and I saw trailers and clips for it, and I was like, I don't. Didn't really look like my thing. It looked too goofy for me. Like, I love goofy shit. Don't get me wrong. But there is a level of goof where I'm like, okay, I have to turn my brain off way too much to enjoy this. Like, I like the demon, what's it called? The Misfit of Demon Academy. Because he's OP, but at least it's like, he's OP because he's really good at what he does. Mashal's like Black Clover plus meets One Punch Man meets Misfit of Demon Academy. And it's this, like, I don't know, maybe I would like it, but I looked at it and I was like, I'm glad people like this. That was my thought. My thought was, I'm glad people like this. I'm not watching it. I like intelligent builds, so I guess I'd probably go for Wizard or Artificer. Wizard or Artificer. An Artificer, they're the two classes that use int for their spellcasting. Monk is a fun one. Monks are pretty strong. They start off really sucky. Mashal is an anime, Ian, where it's like everybody's wizards basically, but he's like the one guy in the world who can't do magic. But he trained his body so much that he can basically replicate what they do with magic with his physical body. And he'll be like, oh, I cast a flying spell. But then what it is he's just running so fast, he's running on air, basically. Is Artificer an actual class? It is. Artificer should be on there. Artificer is an actual class. Let me Google this real quick. D&D 5e classes. Because now you're making me second guess myself. Where's D&D Beyond? Okay, this is not the page I wanted to. Oh, why do I feel like the page that I usually use isn't here? Yeah, Artificer. This isn't the page I usually see. I'm a little confused. Maybe no, it's not Roll20 that I see it on. Maybe I just type 5e classes usually. I'm so confused. Anyways, dead. I was a drow elf who embraced Elistray and left Lolth and her slaves for the surface world. So you were Drizdo Erden. Because that's... I'm pretty sure that was Drizdo Erden's backstory. Anyone have the actual D&D 5e book? I mean, I have it here, but it's not in the original 5e book. It was added later. I can't remember if it was an Unearthed Arcana class that people just accepted because it was actually one of the balanced Unearthed Arcanas, but they just never published it. But it is a class. Artificer is a class that people allow. Here, let's see. 5e Artificer. Okay, I don't want to see the spells, but whatever. Yeah, so it's an actual class. It uses int and all that stuff, intelligence. Anyways, let's so chat. So on the one hand, I like this one. It's an interesting idea, and I could think of a way to mash them together. But on the one hand, I want to go with the thing that they're like disappearing. And the statue is like stealing them away, and people are like, they've committed a great sin. Because then it creates this like whole, you can have the, like, it creates this tension where it's like, oh my god, it's killing people. This is not good. And then you can have the cultists who are like, they have committed a sin. Do not worry. They were false. The god saw the wickedness in their heart, and that's why it took them away. Rah. Whatever, however you want to flip, flap, and jack into it. The character was a hardened warrior, but also naive of how the world works, having been raised in Loth's society. I feel like you would still more or less know how the world works. You would just be a lot softer of a world, but nah. If I had to pick between wizard and artificer, then I suppose I'd go for artificer. I mean, whichever, if we played, I wouldn't care which class you picked. I wouldn't make you, so long as it is one, so long as it's not broken like any of the psionic classes. Because the psionic class was just done terribly. They never, Wizards of the Coast that was when they stopped being good at balancing the game. Like every balanced decision they made was like, oh, I see, every character is going to have the power of a nuke, basically. Got it. Not actually, I'm being facetious. So I kind of want to keep this one because I really like the idea of it taking them, and it's a bad thing that it's taking them, not a good thing. Because then when the players find out, it could make them like, oh shit, we gotta like make sure this is like keeping them safe or whatever. I think I'm gonna keep the intruders biomass energy. Taking them to designated safe areas is a nice idea, but I feel like it doesn't really add tension. It's like, oh, never mind, just let them keep taking them. I like these ones. Now the question is it marking them as intruders, or would it be taking them as biomass energy, period? Or maybe it sees them as intruders first, and then it marks the ones that it finds the most valuable. That one we can answer later, why, I guess, but yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this one. So it sees them as, so let's turn this, oops. I hate broken classes, then the game gets boring. Like, it's fun for the first 5 minutes and absolutely demolishing everything, but then it sucks. Okay, so here's the thing about D&D. Because role-playing isn't just combat, there's also exploration and the talkie-talkie social encounters. All part of that is the role-playing part of the game. Even though people argue role-playing just means the talkie-talkie, which is not true, because realistically, whatever you're doing, you're playing the role of this character. It's just easier to understand the role-playing and the talkie-talkie, but we'll move on from that. I'm not going to have a whole conversation about it. Anyways, so in the combat side, you'll be kind of broken, but then in like the searching for stuff and the social encounters, that can help. Sorry, not the exploration and social encounter pillars, because those are the 3 pillars. If those parts are entertaining enough, you can kind of not notice some of the broken stuff with 5e. The main reason 5e is problematic is that everything on the DM side versus the player side does not mesh well. Like developing an encounter for any player past the level of 10 is really hard to do, because you either have to give your monsters a bunch of abilities and skills and things like that, which then makes it really hard for your DM to run it, because then they have to know like 30 different things. Okay, what am I going to do? They're basically their own player then, but they run multiple monsters. And it either bogs that down, or the monster's really, really strong, so they're way stronger than you think they are, and then they basically kill the party. They TPK, total party kill. Or, bye Squawk, love you. Okay, 11:30, got it. 11:30, got it. Or you want the players to have fun, and you give them cool abilities and cool magic items, and that is good. That's a good thing to do. But now they have a +3 sword of fire blasting, and every time they hit, they're allowed to hit a second time, and when they roll damage, they're allowed to roll double damage. And now they're just blasting this guy with this sword, and every fight is the equivalent of fighting goblins. And it like so it just gets really hard for the DM, and that's just specifically Dungeons and Dragons. There are other tabletops that do a better job of balancing. Like, a lot of the problems with 5e are fixed in Pathfinder 2nd edition, because those were made by people who actually wanted the game to run well, versus Wizards of the Coast, which was bought by Hasbro, which just wants to keep producing content for people to play. And one of the problems with Wizards of the Coast is that they do what every business does, and it's a good decision because this is how you make money. They make decisions based off of player data, right? So like in League of Legends, for example, they make new skins based off of popular champions. They try to nerf or nerf or buff certain champions or items based on how the community at a large feels about it, or how often it's used in like pro scene and things like that, right? Which makes sense. But they can get they listen to what players are saying totally. Wizards of the Coast will put out a like what are those, a questionnaire, right? I forget what it's called. I'll just say a questionnaire. And it'll be like, which class do you like to play the most? Wizard, right? You just put wizard. Blah, blah, blah. What do you like most in this? What do you like most in this, right? Just basic yes and no, simple questions. And their player data will come back saying X, Y, and Z. An example, a real life example that we can find is the, the Ranger. The Ranger has, since the beginning of 5th edition, which came out in 2010, by the way. I'm 99% sure here. I'll Google it real quick, just for GPs. 5e release date. Okay, 2014. So still 10 years ago. All right. The Ranger has been considered a terrible class since it came out. Okay? It has been considered the worst class in the game. Nobody can argue that. From beginning to end, it sucks. And here's how I know it sucks. Everything it can do, you can do as a fighter, but better. A basic fighter, you just get a couple of feats, you already do everything the Ranger does but better, except for one thing. And the one thing that the Ranger is supposed to be good at is tracking enemies and doing extra damage to them. However, the tracking spell it does, it's like, oh, you have to pick a special enemy. Like, let's say dragons. This guy really likes hunting dragons, right? So you have a better job at fighting dragons. And when there are dragons, you do more damage to them. You know their special weak points or whatever, right? You know that if you stab them under their left armpit, it can cause them to bleed profusely. You have that information. But if your DM doesn't put a dragon in the game, that ability is now useless. Like, yes, they'll probably put a dragon in, but they're not going to put a dragon in every session. You'll maybe get to use that ability once every 5 to 10 sessions. That means every 5 to 10 weeks for most people. That's like once every 3 months, you get to use this cool ability you have. All right. And here's the other thing about it. It costs a spell slot to use it. He doesn't have, like, they didn't give the Ranger their own, like, spell points to use specific stuff. They have to use a spell slot on this one ability, their major ability. And they don't get that many spell slots because they're not a wizard class. So now they have to waste one of their precious abilities that they could use to do literally almost anything else. I'll just say literally anything else to be sufficient, but anything else. And the Ranger class is still trash. Like, every class has gotten better. They've given it subclasses to make it better, but it's still worse than all the other ones, because when they give it a subclass, they also give 3 other classes a subclass, for obviously. And their reason is always, well, our player data shows that people really like playing monks, or our player data shows people really like playing rogues, right? So they'll give a subclass to rogues or monks or sorcerers, and they'll also give like a subclass to rangers. But then you just make the rogues, sorcerers, monks, whatever strong. Like, if every other class is here and ranger is here, and then they buff all the classes, it just does this. It's still the same. Like, yeah, it moved up, but that's not good. And the reason is because their player data says, oh, these people like these classes the best. You know why they like those classes the best? Because they can play those classes. They like playing those classes, and they only play them because they're good. If the Ranger was good, people would actually like playing Ranger, but it's not. And they're like, well, the player data says that people don't really like playing the Ranger, so we're not going to put work into making the Ranger better. The reason people don't like playing it is because it's not better. And it's a stupid loop of like, that they keep doing it. It doesn't get any better. I was trying to remember the anime. I don't like it very much, but there was an paladin tank that was a masochist. Oh, Konosuba, yeah. Season 3 is airing now. A survey, 5e is ancient, lol. Yeah, that's why they're coming out with 1 D&D. And the reason they're calling it 1 D&D and they're saying it's not connected to, what do you call it? The reason they're not saying it's a new edition is because they're worried that people be like, oh, a new edition? I don't want to buy new books. I like the way 5th edition is now. I'm not going to buy 6e, right? But the way they're making it, it is basically 6th edition. It is basically 6th edition. It's a tweak on, or at least 5th edition 0.5. Dungeons & Dragons 5.5 edition. And that was a thing. There was 3.5 edition back in like 2006. But they're trying to be like, oh no, it's just still continued 5e, so you'll keep buying the books and you don't really have to change that much. But based on a lot of the changes they made, it changes quite a bit. It makes the game pretty different. Not that different, but like different enough. Anyways, back to actually something fun. Okay, so we're gonna go with I'm gonna say taking them for biomass, for energy. Now here's the question I wanna ask next. So we're gonna lock this in now. We're gonna lock in. Like we're playing what do you call it? What do those kids call them? Ranked in a video game. We're gonna move this all down. Not that far, but I don't know how to just move it like 1 or 2. Okay, so it's taking them for biomass energy. How does it decide to... How does it make the decision on who to take? Let's ask this question, because this question is... How's it deciding? You ranked? Hey, I like ranked. I like knowing that I suck at the game. I actually don't mind ranking. The problem with ranking is when you don't know what you're doing and you think you know what you're doing, or when you and your friends get too sweaty. Trying to fix something on my desk here. So what do we think, chat? What are some ideas? How does the machine know which it's supposed to take for? Because they're randomly disappearing, right? So there must be a way. I like the reason to be not so obvious, so the party has to do something interesting detective work. That's what I'm thinking too. Here's some ideas I have, and I'll just float them by you guys. They have marked themselves by going into specific areas. They don't know that they're marking themselves, but they like let's say they go in and they pass a scanner and it sprays them with some stuff. And that's like, this one has been designated as biomass, right? Something like that. Or, oh my God, I don't know why. Is there a way to set it so that way? If they have a certain aura. The interesting idea, The problem with auras is, how do you decide that? Right? It takes the ones with the take us to biddies. Now, biddies aren't that important in this world area, especially since they're mostly you know, reptiles. Reptiles don't generally produce milk. But you know, it is a funny reason. Another one I have is one of the factions, undecided. I hate when that happens. Has control of the, what do you call it? Collection system, and is deciding. This way, you can have like a mystery. Like, let's say that they're in the in this chamber or whatever, right? And they have the ancient key to it, and it's like in the back of their their base, and they're like, oh, these guys are our political rivals, or these guys are, they did something to my uncle that I didn't like, or he called me a bad name. Put them on the list, right? And that's how it's deciding, but they're keeping it a secret. This way you have like a faction doing clearly evil things, and then also there's a reason why nobody knows why it's happening, because only like a handful of people are deciding. What if I mean is they have a certain energy frequency that resonates? Again, how do you figure that out though? I mean, like, I get the idea, but why would certain Dragonborn have a certain energy frequency? Why would certain lizard folk have it? It sounds interesting, but a little too vague. If they're taken for energy, then you'd want them to have a lot of energy or can provide high quality. That's true. Okay, so kind of like what Alpha said. Got it. Taken because the systems have order of, what would be the word for this? Energy value? I was gonna say, how do we quantify that? Yeah. That was food for thought. Yeah, the question is, how do you quantify that? How do you quantify one person has more energy? Is it based on age? Is it based on sex? Is it based on race? Is it based on subspecies? Is there some unknown quantifier that, you know, but the energy itself, it's a frequency, like it emits a certain something that the automaton needs. That's energy though, because it's taking them for as biomass for energy. We have to remember, I'm keeping that, I'm locking that in. So it's taking them for energy, but how is it deciding who needs to be taken? That's the question. So they like, certain ones put a set off a certain frequency, and like, how complex or how obvious are we going to make that? Like, is it only the ones that have red scales? Is it only the males? Is it only those that are between ages 16 to 22? Metachlorian count? Yeah, dude, no. I'm gonna go with that's gonna be a big nod, dog, from me. The potency? Okay, I'm gonna just Google the definition of that word just to make sure I got it right. Okay, so the quality of quality or state. Okay, that's essentially the same thing as this energy value, because if it means how potent or ability to achieve or bring out a certain result, right? It is seemingly random. Should we say that they take all sorts of ages. Are we going with age? I remember the big nah. The big nah. The big nah. That sounds like a evil ancient alligator. The big nah. Well, I think the age would be one factor. Okay. I mean, that would make sense if it's based on how much energy they can produce, therefore how much energy they give them. Because younger children would have less energy and much older people would have less energy too. So it would be somewhere between like the teenage years and the early 30s. I don't think it should potential. Potential what though? What potential are we scaling off of? Because everybody has potential, but what do you mean by like? And for a robot, what kind of potential is it looking for? Remember, this is essentially. I'm just gonna say robot because automaton is a lot of syllables, and we know we're talking about an automaton like from Greek mythology. I see that's the thing. You normally see the young being taken. I think it would be a nice spin to think of it like wine. What was that sound? I just heard the sound of like a tire going flat. I think it would be nice to nice spin to think of it like wine and taking only the mature ones. So once they've matured, how does it decide that they've matured? And then the question is, do we do it kind of like the Gone book series? Who here has read Gone? Has anyone here read the book Gone before? If not, I'll just give a brief synopsis. So, well, this is actually the synopsis of the book. What happens is basically everybody in this small town is in school or wherever they are. And suddenly, everybody who's 15 or older disappears. Literally, they just disappear right in front of everybody's eyes. And then all of a sudden, there's this huge dome over the town that they can't see through or touch. Because if they touch it, it hurts them. So, are we going to say everybody from this age to older? Or everybody in this age just disappeared one day? Magical potential? Not everything with magical potential becomes a magical class. That could explain the randomness. So basically their mana value, okay, of mana capacity. I'm gonna have to put that in quotes. Okay, so how much mana they may or may not have when their poop contains certain chemicals. Wait, what? Okay then. So it looks like so here are the three we have. And I'm gonna make a poll to let people vote. Where's the poll? Sorry, how is the robot deciding who is being taken? Everybody get ready to vote in the Twitch chat. If you are not in Twitch chat, you can just do a type 1, 2, or 3. And it's only letting me post type so much, so we'll do a 3-minute. So 1 for they have been marked by going to specific areas. 2 for one of the factions is deciding. And 3 is taken in order of mana capacity. Whichever one you would prefer, please let me know. Okay, so I am caught off on YouTube. Okay, cool. For some reason, my YouTube stream was frozen all the way at the beginning still. All right, so that's the first question that we're going to ask for today. The next one is, this one's a little bit off topic from the previous one, but who in the city knows that it is not a statue, but in fact, an automaton? And then the reverse of that is, who does not know? I should rewrite that because it... Here we go. So who knows and who doesn't know? Now, here are some ideas I can come up with. Like, let's say the elite classes know that it's an automaton, but they're keeping it a secret because the religion, having there be an organized religion, helps them control the masses. You could have no one know, which is fine. I think it would be better to have some of them know. You could have like the cultists know, and they still believe it's from a god. Like, oh yes, we know this is a giant automaton, but the gods gave us, the god Akusha gave us this automaton. You are still going against God's will by turning off the automaton. It was his will for it to start. His will, his will. You know, some sort of stuff. The downtrodden know the truth. The downtrodden. What do you mean by the downtrodden? The truth that everyone... that's interesting, but what do you mean by that? Let's move that here. The kobolds know, but nobody listens to them because they're considered stupid. Kobolds aren't usually considered stupid. It would be the lizard folk, most likely. Especially since the kobolds are in charge of the money. I don't think anybody would be calling them stupid. Kobolds are actually generally considered very intelligent. They're a very intelligent race in D&D. But we can say lizard folks. So let's see. I don't know. My first thought was that the outcasts or something like that. Okay, so that could be why they're outcasts. That would be interesting. The outcasts know, and one had their memory wiped. The lizard folk know, but everyone ignores them. What is it called? The Akusha cult knows, but keeps it a secret. The elite families know and keep it a secret. So here are the four that let's see what the poll said. What did people vote? Looks like everyone wanted to go with the mana. Okay, we can go with mana. I did not spell that right. Quality. Then we'll ask, how does it decide? Who has the right? Don't you love how it doesn't just it always defaults to Cabri? I hate that Calibri is like the default, not Times New Roman. That like really tilts my brain. Okay, the lizard folk then. I like the outcasts know the truth, but they're outcasts because it's an asinine conspiracy theory. So kind of like the reverse of the flat earthers, where in this case they're actually right, but in real life they're not. I had a friend who would make that joke all the time. Like, oh, the earth is flat. The earth is flat. And he's always joking. And after a while, I got so annoyed. I'm like, dude, if you're going to keep making that joke, I'm going to just think you believe it. Because, like, you've been making this joke for 3 years. It's not funny anymore. The runes running through the interior are also passively scanning everyone. Okay. The rune, okay, so that's how it physically did, but what I meant to say is, how does it determine who has the right amount? Like, is it age, race, subspecies, gender, you know? Okay, it looks like, so Outcast looks like the main one that people like. So, we won't go with the cult or the elite families. Then the question is, who are the outcasts? Are they are we gonna go with the lizard folk, or are we gonna go with others? Like, maybe not all the lizard folk, because we did say that the lizard folk are the ones who are in charge of food and mushrooms. Although they could still be considered stupid by everyone else, because farmers for a long time were considered stupid, when it's actually, no, farmers are pretty damn intelligent. They're just intelligent in a very specific field. When they reach maturity. So everyone, so we're gonna do it the Gone thing, where everyone past a certain age just disappeared. If they can squeal, they're good to steal. It'd be hard for, do lizards squeal? The only reason I don't want to go with age is because I want there to be older people who are like, no, you all wrong. This is the will of the god. I want it to feel more random than just age. You know? Because I want it to be like your brother could just disappear, or your lover, or your best friend just disappeared. And then the cult, the Eyes of Akusha, we said, are like, nah, they have committed a grave sin against Akusha. That is why he has taken them as punishment. Or he could even say, like, he has taken them to the After Forge, there to work in his forge forever because they were such great people. Not everyone, just those with the right mana. True, but if they just develop it at age, that's everyone. Because everyone gets to that age. What would some indicators of high mana capacity even be? Yeah, see, this is one of the reasons I wasn't... It's like, there's so many other questions you have to answer. For now, we can, I'll put this as a tentative orange, because we like the idea. You know. But let's continue with the, so we know it's the outcasts. Who are we saying? But we haven't decided who the outcasts are. See how it makes your brain, you have to rack your brain now with these vague concepts of mana? Like, how do you describe mana? The aura of their mana, the runes can see their aura. But then how do the players find this out? I have an idea. Or it's so vague, it's like a cop out. We could... Okay, here's my idea then. Oh, wait, I just had a really good idea. when children are born in Dragon Song, the priests do a ritual and bathe them in its, what do you call it? What's the word? In its, I'll just say juices, as a cleansing. Those who have the correct potential are marked and the cult thinks this means they are the most worthy of the gods. Those who do not are marked a different way and become the outcasts of society. So this is how we're going to have it decide. The robot is able to decide. It's just able to decide. We're not going to try and come up with a magic. Other spells that reveal aura. I don't even think aura is a thing in D&D. Really? Yeah, there's not really like... There's like tether essence, but that... I don't think that is what it does. Yeah, there's not really essence or aura in D&D. So... And plus, that might make it too world specific. But let's say when a child is born in Dragon Song, the priests, the cultists, the leaders of the Eyes of Akusha always do this sort of ritual, kind of like a baptism, where they put them in these waters. And those whose bodies take to it correctly, like are able to absorb it properly, usually get this mark on them. And socially, that mark makes them like a genius or whatever. Like they like, since the citizens don't know what the mark means, the citizens don't know. They're like, oh, this must mean they are truly chosen by the gods. And then those who don't have the right mark, who are bad, are on the complete opposite end. Like they could never absorb this energy, right? Get a different mark. And socially, again, they don't know what the mark means. They're like, oh, this means they are not worthy. And that's how they become outcasts of society. But what's actually happening is it is deciding those, it is scanning their potential. And those who have the least potential to control the device, the automaton, are the ones who are marked with the good symbol. And those who have the, the ones who cannot control the automaton are marked with the good symbol, and those who can are marked with the bad symbol. And once they're marked with that bad symbol, it tells it gives them like a quick flash of information that, oh, this is an automaton, it's not a statue. And then that's how they become, so they become outcasts, and that's why the outcasts are the only ones who don't. Boom. Mind blown. The robot is literally telling them, hey, I'm a robot. And everybody else is like, that guy's fucking crazy. He's possessed by a demon or something. Get him out of here. Put him on the lower levels. I like this one, chat. Okay, so let me first change this because I cannot read that. Yuki, can you do me a favor? Can you do me a tiny favor? Can you find a way for me to set it so that way everything in Excel Online, OneDrive.live.com, whatever it's called, you can preset it to always be Times New Roman with whatever. But the party asks for any decision machine feature of the missing persons When they quickly rise, oh, they have the same mark. Fuck! Can we think about this? Oh, here's how. Right, so it just marks it marks everyone who has the most potential. Is this what it's like to be an editor? Probably. No, okay. Here's how I change it. Got it. Right. So the high, like, it's still the ones who are the best able to run it still get that bad mark, but everyone else gets the good mark. But there are some that it has marked internally. It has given some of its extra energy to grow in their systems passively, and it doesn't harm them as it's growing in them. So everybody can take it, but there are certain ones who grow it better than others. And around the age of whatever, I'm curious, what age do 5e Dragonborn adult age? So let's say 15, and then I wonder what lizard folk and kobold is. 6, okay. Wait, no, I don't want to go back. Lizard. 14. Okay, lizard folk and dragonborn are about the same. 14, kobolds are 6. Got it. You set the default page in preferences. Preferences? The fuck is that? Well, I will figure that out later. Nope. That's not it. So I want to keep this because I like this ritual thing. Do a ritual that bathe them in its juices as a cleansing. Everyone is marked afterwards. Most get a normal mark and are deemed appropriate to join society. Some get the bad mark. Oh my God. Can you not do that? Thank you. Most get the good mark. And some get the bad and are shunned. And Can I have like a preset one, please? Thank you. It is actually energy to the good marked. And allowing it to grow inside body. Yeah, I'm going to leave this vague because if we talk about this and ask this question, it's going to go on forever. Like, I'm just going to say it's giving its energy to the good marked and allowing it to grow inside their bodies. Some grow it more purely than others. I'm just going to say some grow it more purely than others. Kind of like in real life, if you find an ore vein or a gold vein, some stuff is more pure than others. There's a scientific reason behind it. I don't know the scientific reason. Most people won't know the scientific reason. We didn't know the scientific reason for many hundreds of years. So I'll leave this vague, because if we keep going down the rabbit hole, we're going to have to come up with a whole science for this thing, and I don't want to do that. That's boring. So we're going to put this as orange. Orang. Orangutan. And now the outcast can be anyone. They don't have to be a specific race. Like, you could just happen to be a dragonborn who just, you were unlucky. You're just unlucky. You just don't have it. You don't have the natural je ne sais quoi, as they say. Au contraire, the whole science is the most exciting part. Listen here, you. Key. Science is cool. Science is awesome. But I ain't a smart man. I'm a dumb lizard man. All right? Me am dumb lizard dragon man. Which still make me smarter than everyone else. But me am still dumb. I'm going to say this one we have confirmed. This is what we're going with. You don't like it? Too bad. When they get the bad mark. This one we'll leave as a tentative. Everybody discuss in le chato. In le chat. About what you, any ideas you might have, any changes you might have. I'm going to go on a break because we're going to have some ads running in Twitch real quick soon TM. And I want to rest my throaty throat for a little bit. And I did say I was going to get an airborne, so we will be doing that. I'll run this 3-minute ad.
Have you ever felt like you were suffocating? Ever feel like there's no escape from that crushing feeling in your chest? Then your doctor might recommend air. Air is a new, free alternative to nothing. Our scientists have spent decades perfecting this product with extensive testing, years of research, and trial and error. We found a way to change the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere into breathable air just for you, using safe compostable materials such as trees. So you don't have to worry about ruining the environment while using air. 9 out of 10 doctors agree that air is essential to your heart, lungs, and brain. Air can also lead to cyclones, blizzards, cold and heat waves, thunderstorms, and tornadoes. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, please call emergency services and a team will be on their way to help you as quickly as possible. Do not take air without speaking to your doctor first, because air is not for everyone. If you are already using air, tell your doctor before he prescribes you any new medication. Whatever the case may be, air is here to help you out. Air. Take a breath.
And we're back, chat. We're back. I think we're back. Are we back? Yes, we're back. We're back, friends. Wahaha. So, anyways. Did anybody ask for anything? So anyways, did we decide if we liked this idea? The mana ideas? All right, for who doesn't know, we'll say with the good mark. And we'll just lock that in. Why not? All right, next one. We're gonna say these are locked in, more or less, but we can still debate about them. The next one question I want to answer is, so we said in the chest of the automaton, there's a giant floating crystal, right? And that's what connects the energy to the rest of the place. And every now and then it pulses, and it's giant and it shines bright, almost like a small sun. So it's hard to look at directly, but you can do that, and it gives us an energy wave. Again, like a star would. And so the citizens pray to it. They believe it's Akusha, the god, generating light and heat for them. And it's also how they denote time, because inside a statue, there are no windows. So most of the time you're inside that statue. How are we, so we said it denotes time, but how does it denote time exactly? Like, does it have a time where it starts to like shut off, where it goes into like a lower light setting, kind of like a dimmer switch? Does it change to a different color? We said it pulses throughout the day. How many times does it pulse? Let's write those down. Does the light what would be the word? The light strength lower? How often does it pulse? The intensity of light is what you're looking for. Intensity, thank you. Right, so like, are they like, oh, it's daytime because it's this bright? And then what do they call their time system? Like, we call it days and nights because the sun is out during the day and the moon is out during the night. But in the story Shadow the Conqueror, it's based on how often the rock falls. There's a floating rock that just falls and it comes back. I explained it previously, but basically the universe is, there's a floating island, and if you fall down here, you'll reappear here, kind of like an old-timey video game screen. And there's this one boulder that you can see from any and all spots on the continent. And when it goes through its full fall, it's called a fall, and that's how they denote their days. Once it's gone from the top all the way to the bottom and started again, that's a day in their world. And they'll be like, oh, high fall, mid fall, low fall, right? So what are we gonna call it? We're gonna call it pulse after a few pulses. Are we gonna call it red? It's red time. I'll meet you at dark red, or I'll meet you at light red. Peaks and throughs corresponding to the min max of whatever you're talking about. What? Please write that in stupid people speak, Yuki, so I can understand what you were trying to say. What time is it? It is 6:30. I'm gonna have to order dinner soon. Highest intensity time equals a peak. Okay. Lowest intensity time is a... How do I pronounce that? Okay, so it is trough. Okay. I want to make sure. Unless it's pronounced a different way. So a peak and a trough. Okay. So peaks and troughs. So then the question is, are the peaks and troughs connected to the pulses, the color of the gem inside, or the intensity of the light? So we know what they call it. They call it peaks and troughs. Is it like, does it go from like a blue to a red, kind of like with our light system, or does it go through the whole color spectrum, like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet? And it's like, high red, peak red, trough green or something. I feel like that's too many. Maybe max go with 3. Maybe it could be like a red, yellow, green, kind of like with traffic lights. And it would make sense that they have this in this world and they're not like, traffic lights, because there aren't traffic lights. And that way it works for the players. They're like, red, yellow, green, just like in the real world, but we have it, you know. Are we gonna go with? I think color would make sense, but we could go with intensity and color. We could mix them together. Like intense reds is like midnight for them. Intense green is midday, and yellow is twilight hours. Actually, I think I'll do that. Okay, so green, red, and yellow. Roll with high and low. Low, what? High pulse and low pulse time. Actually, high and low might be better. It might be easier to remember that for the DM and the players. So we'll go with high and low. We'll just say high and low to make it easy. I like that. So green is like day. Red, night. Yellow, twilight hours. High, green, midday, low green, end of day, high red, mid night, low red, end of night, a yellow, transition time, low yellow, early morning, early night. So does that make sense, chat? How does it? How does it? Would this make sense to you if you're DM put you in a world where there's like, instead of a sun, there's a giant floating crystal. And when it's green, it's daytime. When it's bright green, it's midday. When it's low green, it's like afternoon, right? And then it goes from high green to low green to yellow, which is like twilight hours. And then it goes to a low yellow, which is like early night, like let's say 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And then it goes to a bright red, which is midnight to like 3 a.m. And then it goes to yellow again, which would be like 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. And then it goes to a light yellow, which would be like 7 a.m. to noon. And then it turns green again. Would that make sense to you guys? Would you be able to follow that? If a character was like, I will meet you at, at those times. I'll give you an example. The members of the church meet every day at first high yellow rather than red, green, yellow. I think using the rainbow's extremes like red, green, and blue would be easier to follow. Would they be easier to follow? Are red, green, and blue the rainbow's extremes? I feel like green and blue are actually pretty close. Are you sure you're not thinking blue, yellow, and red? The primaries? Not exactly. I mean, we could go with the primary colors. It would be violet instead of blue. I see what you mean. Well, let's look at a color wheel, right? Color wheel. Right? Not what I wanted to do. We can get like a bigger picture. I guess this is good. So here would be the color wheels, right? And obviously these three are the primary, so they're the opposites of each other. They're not opposites, but they're not connected. Like you will never find any red and blue or any yellow and blue, vice versa. And then the reason these colors are complementary is because there's no red and green, and there's no green in any sort of red coloring. And then there's no blue and orange, and there's no yellow and purple. And then you have the tertiaries. So if we wanted to make it more, I mean, it could just follow the color wheel, right? Something like this. Maybe this would be the color times. So like red, I will meet you at red. Not what I wanted to do. Google, you bitch. I shall meet you at red. Right? And then throughout the day, it like goes through a cycle where you could do that. Red, yellow, and green are only primary in art. You mean red, yellow, and blue are only primary in art? See, I always hear arguments about this, so I'm going to look this up. Art education. Okay, so that's an art. You're doing subtractive light, mixing it. It's cyan, magenta, and yellow. Yeah, that's this CMY, and then there's BLMK, which is, or not BLMK. What is it? I forget what the other one is. There's a whole video that I've watched a few times about it. But this one explains the two different signs. So there's subtractive and additive. Additive, it's blue, red, green. That's when and then subtractive is cyan, magenta, yellow. RBG, thank you. RBG CMYK. CMYK is what I'm thinking about. Cyan, magenta, yellow, and I forget what the K stands for. Let me Google it real quick. I forget what's cyan, magenta, yellow. What does the K stand for? I remember it stood for something though. Oh, black. Oh, it's just black. Right. Cyan, magenta, yellow, black. Okay, so here's the thing. My brain prefers either the yellow, red, blue spectrum or the red, yellow, green spectrum. It doesn't like the red, green, blue. Because green and blue, just for me in my head, are too close. They're just too close. I don't know why. I can't explain it. They just feel like the same thing. I know they're not. But they just always do feel like the same thing. So I'd rather do either red, yellow, green or red, yellow, blue. Which one do you guys want to go with, chat? Between those two. Because it's too hard to get, like I wrap my head around it. I understand the logic and the science behind it. But my brain can't just casually have that be a thing. I don't know why. It's your world. There's no real reason to use additive over subtractive over red, yellow, blue. I know. I'm stupid. Gotta vote for red, yellow, blue. But I also want it to be our world, Yuki. Don't forget that. I want to build it with you guys. Plus, this makes it more of a conversation, not just me deciding things. It's us deciding together. That was cringy. I don't know why I did that. I'm guessing Alpha went to sleep because it's like 7 bajillion AM for him. Okay, we'll go with red, yellow, blue. That way it still follows kind of like a robot structure. Okay, it's only 2:51. Really, I thought it would be like 5 AM for you. Nice, let's move this up one first. Oh my god, I hate this thing sometimes. Stay. Good boy. Red, yellow, blue sounds good. Okay. Okay, we'll lock this in. We want to knock some of these out of the park, so we're going to go fish. I'm basically nocturnal at this point. I'm very heavily diurnal. I am very diurnal. When it starts to get dark, I get sleepy. I don't wake up with the sun, but I've always woken up the earliest out of my friend group until pretty recently because I've been staying up late to work on shit. All right, we'll just, and I'm gonna lock this in. Nobody's argued it since I said it, so we'll lock it in. This one doesn't matter. I'm gonna actually give this its own color because we don't care. This is some other third force. That's something tangential that we can. Okay, so we've moved on from the basic shit. We're now in the factions. This is where it gets hard, chat. This is where it gets hard. Nice and thick and hard like my brain. So, chat, first, do we want to have that they're the elite families of the original founders? They're not necessarily part of any one specific faction, but they exist. Like, they're the rich people of the world. Do we want to have this? Yes or no? Yes or no? Up, thumbs up, a thumbs down. I would think the city started as equality. Well, yes, that is, it would start as that because the original founding, like the founding tribes who got there would all be equal in the beginning. And then as new tribes came in over the time, over the years, they would be the non-elites. So that would still follow what you said. Everyone started equal, nobody above anybody else. No founding. Well, there would be founding families regardless. Well, I mean, I get, yeah. What does everybody else in chat think? Yuki? Ian? Z Nation, if you're here? Who else usually comes in? Trying to think if there's anyone else who usually comes into chat. What are you saying? My bad. I went to get myself some hot milk and honey. How dare you, your kingdom of milk and honey. We're asking if we want to have, like, there be, not in the beginning, the current time, like a few hundred years later, if there would be families who are like, we are the founding families, and they have some monetary or cultural or social power over the rest. Like, they've existed since they were the first ones. They basically, they don't necessarily see themselves as better than everyone, but their lives are easier at the very least. What would you think about that, Yuki? Kind of like old money versus new money sort of deal. I think social power. Yeah. Okay. So I was talking about it in the beginning, but we're primarily social. Okay. I should write descendants. Does anyone here like meatloaf? I'm kind of hit or miss with it, but I had an idea. Meatloaf the food or Meatloaf the band? Meatloaf the food. Yeah, I've made plenty of meatloafs. It depends on the meatloaf. There's some terrible meatloafs, and I actually have a funny story to tell you. If you're talking about the band, I like 2 of their songs I've listened to. I haven't listened to them that much. If you can make meatless meatloaf, yeah. I don't think that's gonna be possible, Yuki. I don't think it's gonna be a meatloaf. I think it's gonna be a veggie loaf then. So, bread. True. It's just bread. I mean, there are veggie loaves. But yeah, that would just be bread. Or actually, maybe we should think about it like the descendants of the founding fathers. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Never had meatloaf, so I can't answer. You've never had meatloaf? What the heck? What the heck? What are you trying to do to me? Does anyone really know or care who they are? Well, that's what I'm asking. My idea was people often make meatloaf sandwiches with the leftovers inside bread. But what if, picture this? Don't leave me on a cliffhanger. Picture what? What are we picturing? I've never made meatloaf sandwiches because me and my parents growing up, if mom made meatloaf, we ate the meatloaf because it was good. You use slices of meatloaf as the slices of bread with the condiments were inside. The reason you don't do that is because you don't want to touch the meat. It's usually too sticky or wet. And if it's going to be hard enough to be like dried bread, it's not going to be very tasty. You could do it. It probably will taste good. There is a thing called the Inside Out burger, which is that where it's 2 patties with a piece of bread inside. But it's like, it's kind of, it's a very niche thing that very, like, you have to really want it or really like that sort of thing. I want to touch the meat. I would not. I might hear it in a trivia game more than anything. So we're gonna say the okay. So let me change this then. The descendant of founders are seen as are known by all. No special power or wealth. Okay, so what is the government structure? This is a question we have to ask. What is the government structure of Dragon's Den? Is it a democracy? Is it what's it called? Is it feudal system? Is it just what's it called when there's like a what is the where it's like there's a bunch of groups that decide together as a collective? Like a matriarchy, I guess, or a patriarch, or aristocracy. Dragonborn law enforcers and protectors. Well, we've already designated. I don't want to get to like law enforcement and stuff like that yet. I want to focus on straight the government. Who decides the rules? Who decides the punishments? Not who enforces it, because law enforcement is, again, that's who enforces the law, right? Oligarchy? I know that word, but I don't know that. Some group of people have control. Okay, so yeah, an oligarchy. So are we going with oligarchy, democracy, patriarchy, matriarchy, also made up of each species? Would that be an oligarchy? Let me see that. Martino, yes. Depends on how the council gets its power. Okay, but okay, so how is the council decided? So we're saying, okay, so we'll say council / oligarchy. Each species votes for their representative. So it's a democracy. Is the representative a clan leader? Or just like a senator / what's the word? So what you're going for is like a council democracy. So what they have in like Britain and Canada, sort of. That's a parliament, but that's the best example I can think of in the modern day. Trying to think if that's... If we really want convoluted political turmoil, then we have to separate clan leaders and elected senators. Like each species votes for who has their best interest at heart. So exactly like senators and governors and all. So it's just a straight democracy. And I'm not opposed to it, but in my head it doesn't, I don't know why it feels like it doesn't fit. Feels too modern, I guess. I don't know. But it could work. The council have to be in 100% agreement for things to be accepted. Hmm. 100% is too much. I mean, there's only going to be 5 members. So you just need 5 people to agree on it, right? I feel like having it be based on race, I'm not a huge fan of. Because currently we only have 3 races. And then it's like... That sounds like very little. Like just 3 people. And I don't like the idea of there just being 3 factions. We have the 5 factions. That's why I say minimum of 5 factions. Plus, I would want the Eyes of Akusha, the religion, the cult, essentially, to actually have power. You came scared. I've decided to get my CFA designation. Oh, Z Nation, welcome. The other problem with it needing to be 100% is that means there's going to be a lot of standstill, and it's going to take forever for anything to be decided. Because if just one guy's like, no, I don't want that, it's like, okay, well then they're just going to sit there and debate it forever, and it's gonna end up being like Alien X from Ben 10 Ultimate Alien, where like they never decide anything, because if just one person says no, then it's a standstill, and they're like, ah, yes, this is old. We still need to focus on old news. For each level, there are 6 books and 3,000 plus pages per level. That's almost 10,000 pages studying for 3 exams. That's excessive. Well, best of luck with 10,000 pages. 1 for the religion, 1 for the outcasts. Okay. Council democracy. One member from each faction. You know, I'm gonna take your idea, and I'm gonna kind of separate it. So instead of each faction votes, I'm gonna say each faction has their own way of deciding who their representative is, right? So we could say like the rejects, the first fangs, they vote for their representative, right? Lizard folk, they could have trial by combat. Kobolds, we could come up with something for them. Dragonbolt, something for them. And the Eyes of Akusha could just be based on religious seniority. That way each one feels unique, and then it's like you don't have to come up with. I think that way we keep it, but it doesn't feel too modern. Like it still feels very fantastical, and like these are species with different mindsets than the rest of us. Like they look at the world completely different than the rest of us, than we do. Then like the kobolds look at it differently than the Eyes of Akusha. What's the population of dragons song? I think I wrote this in while we were. Population of 10,000 people. Maximum population is 10,000 people. Let's say, because they're running out of room. Current population. $9,456. Because they're running out of room. You know? My head is just hurting thinking about it. Yakers. That's 5. Cool. Since the citizens are effectively baptized, I'd say the church could also approve of the council members. I agree with that. See, that's kind of what I meant anyways. I like what you're saying, Yuki, about the council, the church deciding who's on the council. I feel like that gives one faction way too much power, though. That gives this faction so much power over the others, which could work. But I want it to feel like they could all have equal power. They don't, but they could. Because, like, you can say, like, oh, yeah, they all equally decide who their faction leader is, right? And all of them have equal power. But the Eyes of Akusha have so much social power over like these 3 groups, right? That the way that these guys vote is usually how these 3 will also vote. So the first fangs is always like kind of just the opposite vote. You just explained it better. Yeah. Well, it helped that I'm fully right in this moment because I'm the streamer. My mind is fully focused on this idea, and you guys are more like, you know, you're watching, but then you're probably doing something else. Like, I don't know, eating some food, picking your nose, summoning a demon, you know, things you would do on a Friday night. Well, for Alpha, it's Saturday morning, but That's besides the point. The main government lives in the head. It is a council. Consisting of one member from each faction. Let's say not lives, but operates. Because they're like the brain, you know. And we're going to lock that in. I like that. That one's good. And then, what did we say? Each faction has their own system for deciding clan leader and representative. And then I'm gonna move all of this down here. I'm gonna get 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we go. That way we have 5 lines open. Each faction has their own system for deciding land leader and representative. Oh, actually, I have a better way to move this all around. Let's... Can I move this up? What did I say? For the cops? I think I said... I think we'll say the cultists write the laws. Or are like the lawyers. Lawyers, judges, jury, etc. And then the cops or law enforcement would be the soldiers. No. The problem with this is these guys oppose these guys. We might want to change. I'm gonna swap this one. Wait, what did I just do? So the lizard folk, I'll cover them the rough scales. Or maybe the growing fang. Wait, I'll swap their names. Give me a minute. Brain working at okay, there we go. So because why would the rejects, you know, the revolutionaries, so to speak, why would they be in charge of the military? Wouldn't make sense. They wouldn't be the revolutionaries then. They had all the guns, so to speak. So instead, we'll say the lizard folk are. They're in charge of the military and law enforcement. And these guys are just in charge of food. And it's like, they're just in charge of the food. You know, they're seen in like the dirty underpits. We could even say they're in the armpit. They work in the armpit. Ooh, that would be funny. They literally work in the pits. Demon summoning is strictly a Tuesday activity. Oh, that's fair. That makes sense. What if it's the inside of the head looked like from inside out where the emotions work? I'm an agent of chaos. I summon them for fun on any day of the week. Classic Brit. Classic Brit. Each faction has their own version of deciding leaders. Let's... I'm going to move this actually down a little further. Just so it doesn't get nothing gets written over, you know? And we'll just lock this one in too. Oops, wrong thing. Oops, I meant to copy paste this. Religious order, claws of Akusha. Builders / crafters. Make it easier to remember. And I misspelled builders because I put a space. Money handlers. What's it called in government? The people who handle the money and regulate it and stuff like that. Army. I'll just say army. Rejects, those with the bad mark. Let's see. Eyes of Akusha. Decide leader through seniority. Clan leader is also referee. Let's see. The first fangs. Decide leader through leader picks the representative. It would make sense that the army would pick their leader through trial by combat, you know. The strongest, that's who becomes their leader. Let's see. The growing scales vote for leader and have a separate vote for representative. The builders and crafters, how would they decide theirs? Leader is the one who decided based on most finished projects. How would we decide who the... How would they decide who their representative is? With kobolds, it could be the one who has the most wealth. For which one, though? The mint? Treasury? Ah, that's the word I want to go with. Treasury. Where was I with the kobold? The most talented builder, crafter. The most talented crafter. We'll just use this as a catch-all term. Which is going to be decided by popularity. So it's basically a popularity contest for them. Which is still a form of voting, but you know what I mean. Literally makes the money. Treasury handles the money. The mint makes the money. Treasury and mint. There we go. Treasury and mint. It's both. Because that's what they are. They're both. They handle the money and they make the money. Which is a really bad way to have your monetary system, because then they just decide who's rich and it's always going to be them. But, you know, this is an old-timey town in a fantasy world. They're not smart. They're not very smart, if you ask me. You know, the mint has, like, super heavy regulations. If you work at the mint, they check your pockets every time you enter and exit. This isn't about our world. Truge. That's the point. It isn't our world. So anyways, who did we say was the leader for the mint treasury department? How do we decide that? How do they decide that leader? Because he said the one who has the most money, but for which one? Is that representative or leader? Oh, wait. Leader decided by vote. Representative decided by leader. Only those with a certain vote. So what I'm thinking here is like, so how companies are run a lot of times is there's the board of directors.